Good afternoon. It's September 10th, 2021. This is going to be an update video on the best way to plant a fruit tree in heavy clay soil. Now, kind of ironically, the tree never made it. So don't take my advice. Just kidding. I'm going to try to dig around some of the trees and try to figure out what could have caused the death. I have another pluot tree, also from Adams County Nursery down here, mulched in a similar way, except using more manure than wood chips because I started running out of wood chips. This one also didn't make it. This one came from a different nursery, also mulched the same way. This one made it. This is a 4-in-1. Adams County Nursery has normally sent me really good stock, but just this year they had a hiccup. I don't blame them for it. It happens with every nursery. But as I dig around here, let's see how much. So you've seen when I applied all this mulch, most people will say the mulch caused the death. So what I'd like to point out that I watched this thing die slowly, and it died from the top down. It was still alive at the root system when the top was completely dead. So it's probably other reasons, but let's dig up some of this mulch. I basically went down, I don't know, like 3 inches, and I'm hitting dirt. And here's some of the clay soil. People say, well, you weren't planting in clay. Well, here you go. If you mulch clay, it does soften up a bit. So I don't know why it died, but it does happen. Pulled it up. Now it's basically completely dead, all the way down to the root now. I continued to water this area because I know I will be putting a tree in here again to replace this one. So I want to keep all the microorganisms and everything in here alive. So I also planted an entire row of apple trees that I raised in my own nursery. Mulched them the same way, and all these survived. It was kind of a rough year because we had a hot summer, but all my trees survived. Apple trees. Now I think this one was the tree that I showed how I dug up in the best way to dig up a fruit tree video, and is doing quite well. I have some watermelons over here. And some melons. But, oh, this is what I was gonna show. So, I've rarely had a pear die on me. And ironically, from the same nursery this year, this Asian pear died. I tried to throw another graft on top, but that didn't cause the death. And this one actually wasn't mulched at all. And this one died also from Adams County Nursery. But all the pears that I raised on my own did really well. I even grafted some Korean Giant to the new transplants, and they took. Here's another pair. Did really well. Some more watermelons. Black tarp is the only way to produce watermelons in our cool summer climate. Tracks all the heat, and we end up with some pretty decent watermelons. Some honeydew melons or cantaloupe. And somewhere in here, here's an Asian cantaloupe or a honeydew melon. Really good size, and we've tasted this one before and it's really good. Here's some more pears that I planted. There's a row of plum rootstock. Some more melons. The biggest melon we've had this year is 33 pounds. This one here is probably about 20 pounds. Another pair. Mulched it with goat manure. Here's a watermelon that's approaching 30 pounds. Probably about 29 or so at this point is my guess. But this is a big melon. There will be people who watch this video that will be convinced that my mulching style killed the tree. Just wanted to show some of my other trees that I've mulched, probably 10 inches or more. The tree is healthy. This is my Delight cherry plum. Tried stopping the ants from climbing up and it seemed to work. This one is grafted on Citation rootstock, which is the same exact one as the pluot that died. And you can see it kind of has a smaller diameter as the actual Delight cherry plum, the Citation rootstock. So this was mulched probably about, I don't know, 10 inches at least. And it almost seems like the mulch just completely disappeared already. And I'm already seeing roots. No sign of rotting. The mulch is way up against the trunk. Healthy as can be. Here's a peach tree. This is a Red Haven. This is grafted to a plum, an American plum rootstock. This one was also mulched about 8 to 10 inches. Now I'm probably down to only about 3-4 inches of mulch now. But look at the diameter difference of the plum rootstock compared to the peach grafted to it. It's at least twice as big, if not more. Pretty crazy. Absolutely no signs of rot or anything of that sort. And I put the mulch way up against the trunk. Here's another peach tree. This is the Grand Coulee peach. Grafted to plum. Also had very heavy mulching all the way up to the trunk. As you can see, absolutely no sign of rot or anything like that. If you think about it, this stuff is full of air. So as long as oxygen is getting to it, it can't rot. And you can tell this peach is doing great. Doing really well. Much better than some of the trees that weren't mulched. This is the Spitzenberg Apple. A little bit of heat damage, but it had quite a good crop, and I grafted a lot of varieties to it. Here's a Nectarine. This is Arctic Glow Nectarine. You can see it looks extremely healthy. This had about 1 foot of mulch all the way up to the trunk. This is grafted to a peach rootstock, so not as resistant to moisture as plum rootstock, and yet very healthy, even with mulch. Close to a foot originally. Now this one was probably the most deeply mulched tree I've ever had. The mulch is now composted down to about 4 inches, I think. So yeah, basically down to dirt now. From here to here, probably about 4 or 5 inches of mulch left. It's all the way up against the trunk. No rotting whatsoever.